to Tech Total Access. I'm your host, Alexis Craighead. The third football spring scrimmage was held on Saturday. David Jones has the highlights.
The Hokies held their last open scrimmage on Saturday. This time the defense beat the offense, according to Frank Beamer's complicated scoring method. The first team's defense only allowed one short touchdown that came from Michael Brewer hitting Bucky Hodges for a 3-yard score. Brewer had 2 other touchdown passes in the game, one to Cam Phillips and one to Kevin Asante. Brandon Motley also had 2 touchdown passes, one to Trey Edmonds and one to Isaiah Ford. The quarterbacks combined, going 18 of 37 with 220 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. The only interception of the day came from a trick play when Isaiah Ford tried to pass the ball and Greg Stroman picked him off. The only rushing touchdown came from Dimitri Knowles, who scored on a 9-yard reverse. The defense had 13 sacks and 20 tackles for a loss on the day. Woody Barron, Andrew Matupuaku, and Terrell Edmonds led the team with 5 tackles apiece. Matei Sis talked with players and coaches after the game.
The offense won by quite a margin. Today the defense won by quite a margin. I actually probably would like that a little more even, but I think it shows both sides have, it's got potential, and then both sides needs to play consistent, because and that's what we strive for. Is offense always plays the same and defense always plays the same. The other good thing is there had been a lot of turnovers this spring. I think we ended up with 2 today, a fumble and an interception, I think, but that's been limited, so that part's good. I think the effort's good. I think we've made progress. I think we've got a better reading on our football team, and so far it's been I think a really, really good spring practice. And so we need to finish it off here next week.
The big thing is, there's a lot of plays against a lot of young people. I thought the young guys really improved from Saturday to Tuesday, and then particularly from Saturday to Saturday. It's kind of like the same thing. You get guys playing their first ball game, you expect a big improvement from week 1 to week 2, and I think you saw that with some freshmen, some guys that that made mistakes last week, or they didn't do that this week. And I feel bad for Sean Payne. He's a guy got burned a couple times, but because of a couple things, he's missing practice during the week, and he just comes out on Saturday. So he's trying to knock rust off, and doesn't he's all over the place. But other than that, I thought the other kids have played. We've improved. We're not where we need to be, particularly in the back end. We still gave up some cheap plays and some. In some man situations that we need to be better in. But all in all, our effort was good because I think our passion and our emotion was better. You can't play good defense without having some emotion, even if there's not 70,000 people. You got to do it all the time, and it's just developing those habits and skill set. And we've really worked on that part of it. Just going. Don't let your mind tie up your feet. It may a little bit. I want you going full speed. We'll correct it and get better from it. So.
With the ones, we feel really good. We had, I think Wyatt jumped off sides one time. With the twos, that's Bud mentioned it last week, and not to speak for Bud, but on both sides of the ball, our twos have got to improve. After what we went through last year, I really learned that those 2s, 3s, and 4s are really, really important. And so we got to bring those guys along. They got to play better. Overall impressions, I thought there was some good things out there today. I thought there was some bad things. It wasn't as good as last week. But there were some things that I think our ones in particular did that were good.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to improve on pre-snap penalties, like offsides penalties, stuff like that. We need to get sharper on, knowing exactly what to do, whether it's the line, the running backs, receivers, their routes, things like that, and protecting the ball is mainly the most important thing. We lost a lot of games last year on fumbles and interceptions. So if we get that right, then we're going to be a better team overall.
Matei Sis was at football practice this week and spoke to players and coaches.
It was like 30, so 14 practices and then kind of get to have a little bit of a game day atmosphere kind of a deal. It's fun. It's fun to see all the young guys get to experience that and kind of get somewhat of an experience of what game day is like. I came to the spring game last year up here on a visit, so I got to see kind of the atmosphere, the fans. It was a good crowd, so hopefully the weather's good. We'll have a good crowd and finish off spring ball on the right note.
I think we did more of it last year. I think there was probably games where close to 40% of the game we may have been in a too tight set at times during games or in certain games, but throughout this whole spring we've probably been a dominant too tight end set. In most of our scrimmages, I feel like I'll probably carry over to the spring, to the fall as well. And it helps alleviate a little bit of the depth at receiver when you have that ability to line up in a conventional two tight end set, and then also to be in spread sets on the very next snap. I think it takes a little pressure off of a receiving core, and so that creates.
I think also being able to match up against linebackers and being faster than them, and then being bigger than cornerbacks and safeties. So I think there's a mismatch there, and I definitely got a big year in receiving.
I feel like we had a good offseason as a group, and knowing what to do is very important. And now that we had a second-year coach, Coach Seals, we got that mentality, and we changed, like I said, we changed our mentality this upcoming spring. So it's a lot different, but it's going for the better.
As soon as if any success the offense is having, we're gonna be mad as a defense. That's just our swagger. But overall, just as a team, looking at the whole team, whatnot, I love what's going on. I love this team. I love what we have to offer on both sides. And I think we have a great team, and the future's bright.
These guys are bringing along.
That's natural, just because I'm a guy that's been in their shoes, and I'm a guy that's been gaining experience over the past years. So I could just give them some tips here and there, just continue the tradition and stuff like that. So that's all I try to do.
No, in a lot of ways, I can remember J.C. Coleman committing at the spring game, I believe. Committing at the spring game. C.J. Revis committed at the spring game. Those are just guys off the top of my head that I can think of. So yeah, absolutely. Hopefully at this point, a lot of these guys have already been on your campus, and now it's a chance where they feel good about Virginia Tech, and then they come back and they see what the atmosphere is for a spring game, and it even elevates Virginia Tech even more. Or some guys, it's their first time here to Virginia Tech, which we've got some of that going on this weekend. It's a great chance for them to see Virginia Tech for the first time and hopefully get blown away by what it's about.
How much
every budget, so don't accept defeat. Now you can get covered and still buy me treats.
You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Rustler here for some R&R, and this will be the last one of the season. So guys, go out with a bang.
All right, so football had their last scrimmage before spring game this Saturday. What kind of takeaways did you have?
Well, after last week's offensive explosion, it was nice to see the defense kind of gather themselves, and they played pretty well, defended the pass well, defended the run. Michael Brewer and Brendan Motley both played pretty well, I thought. I think Brewer just kind of stood out with small things like accuracy, just kind of looking collected in the pocket. I definitely think he's the better quarterback.
Yeah, I was very impressed with both in their ability to throw from a pocket that was not very well formed and well created by the offensive line. Both of them stood strong in the pocket. They both took quote unquote hits. Granted that they called a lot of plays dead, but I was the defense very impressed. Technically, they won the scrimmage with Frank Beamer's inexact scoring system that makes almost no sense. But the defense impressed, and I was very impressed with the secondary. Greg Stroman, he showed me a lot, and that he's not just a returner. And then Chuck Clark, who I'm really high on, a guy that can really play corner or safety.
Yeah, Bud Foster has said that the secondary that we're seeing now in the spring is definitely not what it's going to be in the fall. It's not really set. They're moving people around to see who can play well at which position. So once Kendall Furlow returns, and hopefully Faison will be the old Faison, and so hopefully the secondary will really come together and play well this fall.
Yeah, it's hard to really come up with a lineup when you don't have your two best players in there. Kendall Fuller, obviously the leader of the secondary. Then you have Brendan Faison, who 2 years ago was one of the best freshmen in the nation at the cornerback position, led the team in picks, and last year he had all those injury issues, so you're not really sure what you're going to get there. But I think one of the reasons I'm really high on Chuck is that he's going to be able to provide depth either way. If Faison does play at the cornerback position next year, Clark can move over to free safety, or he can play the nickel, or if you have a really good depth next year, you can play him at the dime. So I think that they're really, really set in the defensive secondary.
Yeah, I really like Chuck Clark too. Something that I want to keep an eye on, especially in the spring game, is the running back committee. J.C. Coleman had 3 carries for 44 yards in the last scrimmage, which was good, and then he sat out to kind of let some of the younger guys like Trayvon McMillan get a chance to show their stuff.
Yeah.
So with Marshawn Williams coming off his injury, Trey Edmonds, we have a lot of talent. It'll just be interesting to see who plays, how many running backs they want to move in and out of the roster.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who's going to get the majority of the carries. Will it be J.C. Coleman, who was very, very impressive last year, or will it be one of the guys that got hurt, Shai McKenzie? If he can get his legal issues resolved, he gets thrown in the mix immediately. He's very talented. Marshawn Williams coming off that ACL. He's going to sit out in the spring game. He sat out all practices, so far. But there's just so much talent there. I mean, you've got Trayvon McMillan, who had that big play a couple weeks ago, 70-yard run for a touchdown. DJ Reed is also impressing, and then you're going to bring in guys like Deshaun McLeese, next fall. So, I mean, at what point do you just say, I don't know who to give the ball to?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. There's just so much talent. Also at the receiver position, too. Bucky Hodges had an amazing touchdown catch in the scrimmage. Isaiah Ford played well, too, although he did throw a pick on this receiver sweep trick play. So, Isaiah, stick to catching the ball, not throwing it. And yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what the offense does.
Yeah, if you're going to get a shot to throw the ball as a receiver and it's one-on-one coverage, you can't underthrow it. You can't do that, especially on a deep ball. But, in all seriousness, the receiver position is very, very good. In my opinion, you've got Bucky, who, like we've said before, can play tight end or the slot. But Ryan Malik is a guy that I'm very, very impressed with. This is a guy who's had a big knee injury in his career. He's come back. He's talented, and he's that really all-around blocking tight end who can also catch that you really want to look for. He's not just a guy who makes good catches.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned that he's a strong blocking tight end, because that's one of the things that I've seen some issues with on the offense is getting a strong pocket and having good run blocking. So I think that's our biggest thing to improve on going forward.
Yeah, and I think that you're going to see a lot of formations in the spring game and next fall where you have 2 tight ends and you have 2 receivers, but you'll have one of those tight ends, Bucky Hodges, split out in the slot. And I think that that's really going to pose a lot of matchup issues and make this Tech offense very, very explosive.
Yeah, I mean, Hodges, he causes a matchup issue wherever he is. I mean, he's God's gift.
I think the most impressive player, in my opinion, though, was Vinny Mahota on the defensive line. This kid is just, his motor is fantastic. Coach Beamer, Coach Foster, they've all praised him so far. Even Coach Searles, he said that Vinny Mahota's got great, great talent. But where do you see him fitting there?
Well, it's tough to say with some injuries that we have now on the defensive line. But I think at the end, it'll all come together, and the defensive line will definitely be strong, as it always is. And if our secondary can also come together, then we should see the Tech defense of old this next year.
You really should. There's a lot of depth. I mean, the linebacker position, I guess you could say that the linebacking core is the weakest spot, but even then, it's still a lot of talent there. You've got Deion Clark, who's impressed as the pass rusher and in coverage. Adonis Alexander, who could start next year as a freshman. CJ Rivas, who's provided a lot of talent as the rover. In fact, they said CJ is likely going to be the starting rover heading into fall.
Yeah, I really like Adonis Alexander. I think he has a chance to have a great career here.
Well, baseball is actually playing their season so far, and they actually got their first wins over UNC since 2007.
Yeah, it was a great game. They beat UNC pretty handily in the first game, and then the next day they lost just a really close game. So I think baseball really showed their stuff. Alex Perez and Brendan Hayden both had strong hitting and running games. So their offense just needs to be more consistent going forward, really, and kind of get offense from more players other than those two.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. It seems that every game it's Alex Perez and Brendan Hayden carrying the load offensively. Who else is going to step up and kind of push this team over the top? I mean, you're running out of time to complete your resume for the ACC tournament, and you can't have a lineup where it's just two guys carrying all the whole thing, especially when the pitching is not consistent.
Yeah, I mean, they went from a strong showing in those two games against a ranked team in UNC, and then they lose to Radford on Tuesday 4-7. So they just need to remember that every game is crucial at this point, and they're going to have to play really well down the stretch if they want to make the ACC tournament. I think they're 11th out of, and only 10 teams make the tournament, so they need things to go their way.
Well, and pitching, college and professional, pitching wins everything. So Kit Sheets, John Woodcock, Sean Kaselika, they have to produce. They've got to come out, put 6-7 quality innings up on the board, and keep your team in it.
Yeah, absolutely. With an offense that struggles to score, it's important to have good pitching, good defense in the outfield.
Yeah, and softball as well. They got that series win over Pittsburgh. Where do you think they are right now?
I think they're in a good place. Their defense has been really strong. Obviously, all year their pitching has been phenomenal. So I think that gives them a chance to win every game as long as they can score, 5 or 6 runs. But the question is, where are the hits going to come from outside of Lauren Gaskell, Katie Smith? I want to see Vanessa Gonzalez or Kylie McGoldrick step up and have some big hitting games.
Yeah, I've actually been impressed with, Kylie McGoldrick. She had that big walk-off win, a couple weeks ago. And to me, the pitching staff has kind of fallen off as they've gotten deeper and deeper into ACC play. Maggie Tyler's not been as dominant as you've seen her, in past games. Not these shutouts that you saw against non-conference opponents. And Kelly Hines has actually kind of taken on that ace role. She's been the most impressive so far, in the last 10 games.
Yeah, she really has.
And then Michaela Aiken as a freshman, she's been kind of rocky. She's still learning, she's still new, but she's very talented. But they need Maggie or Michaela to help, Kelly Hines out. So that way you've got that, dynamic 1-2 punch that they had early on in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, dear. You're very supple. It's like I was at your age. Back then, I was a sex expert. Used to call me the buttered biscuit. I know about birth control, too. So you can ask me anything, baby.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
Have you had sex in this car yet?
People think I'm trash. But they're wrong. Today, I'm just an aluminum can. But one day, I could be a stadium.
Get caught buzz driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom. It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk.
The baseball team held their series against number 23 North Carolina this weekend. DTTV was on the scene.
The Hokies went 1-1 against the Tar Heels. The game on Sunday was canceled due to rain, and so the teams were unable to break the tie. Tech took the first game on Friday, 8-3. It was the first time since 2007 that the Hokies were able to beat the Tar Heels. The scoring started in the third inning when UNC got the first run of the game, followed up by an unearned run from Tech. In the fourth, the Tar Heels took the lead back, scoring 1 run. In the sixth, the Hokies got hot. Both Alex Perez and Brandon Hayden hit homers. Then Ryan Tuff's single brought Chantal Seliga home, and Andrew Moggs scored off a wild pitch, bringing the score to 6-2. UNC added 1 more run in the top of the seventh, and Tech added their last run in the bottom of the seventh, when Sam Frankel's double brought Perez home for the 5-point victory. Kit Sheets started on the mound for Tech and got the win after pitching 7 innings. The second game was much closer. The Hokies ended up losing 11-10. Both teams started out hot, each scoring 4 runs in the first inning. In the third, UNC added 2 runs, but then Tech took the lead back with 4 runs. The Tar Heels took the lead back in the fifth by adding 4 more runs to the board. By the bottom of the sixth, the teams were tied up at 10. In the eighth, the Tar Heels scored their winning run off a sacrifice fly. Tech was unable to score again and took the loss. The Hokies were led by Hayden, who had 4 RBIs and a home run. 6 pitchers played for Tech, but Luke Solcher took the loss after throwing 3 innings, allowing 5 hits and 3 runs. VTTV had the chance to talk to players and coaches this weekend.
The game was huge. We needed that after 7 years of not beating them, and after a sweep last weekend, we needed that to get back in the ACC race. A huge pitching performance by Kit Sheets. That took, I don't want to say it on camera, but it took a lot out there. He dominated them, and then our offense stepped it up after last week, and it was awesome.
No, that was us. We came into the locker room today, and we were saying, we looked at the date and everything. It was March 26th or 28th. 2007, and we just marked it down and said it's not going to happen tonight and just played our best. Yeah, definitely. When we get going, our lineup starts to click, and they see the barrel on the ball, and they want to hit the ball hard too. And you saw that today. Tufts had a big at bat. Sam Fergal had a big at bat, and when we're like that, we're pretty hard to beat.
Just taking it game by game. We're not really talking about that as much. You know, each game we got to focus and try to do the best we can to get a W. But with social media and everything, these guys know exactly where we are in the standings. I mean, I'd be worried if they didn't. I don't know what they'd be doing with their free time if they didn't. So they know where we are, and we're just trying to lock in 1 game at a time. And it's not cliche or coach speak, but you can't really worry about trying to win a series, win 2 games in one night and play that way, because I think you play tight that way.
The softball team took on Radford Wednesday night. David Jones has the highlights.
The softball team blew by Radford for the second time this season. They won 8-0 in 5 innings. Tech got the scoring started in the second inning when Lauren Gaskell brought Logan Spahn home. In the third, the Hokies added 2 more runs off a Jessie Meir double that scored Vanessa Gonzalez and Michelle Prong. Tech ended the game in the fifth with home runs from Prong and Meir, followed by an RBI from Gaskell and a double by Kylie McGoldrick that scored Gaskell and Caroline Skolderwall. Michaela Aiken got the win on the mound, pitching all 5 innings and allowing only 2 hits. David Jones was able to talk to players and coaches about the game and this weekend's series against ACC rival NC State.
My thoughts on the game: this was a tremendous game. I love to come out and play, and I love the cadets here. It was an amazing experience. I'm happy my team could put away Radford. We needed it going into ACC play this weekend versus North Carolina. And the morale was really high. I'm really proud of the girls for putting away a great win.
I thought it started off a little slow, but then we finally got the hang of it and came together and just got it done right when we needed it.
We had some opportunities early where we didn't take care of, but I liked the way we stayed with it, did what we needed to do later on, and scoring runs. Thought Michaela threw a great game. We handled things well defensively for the most part, and it's a good team win. Well, I think the biggest thing is being an ACC series, in a big ACC series. Just what I just told them just a while ago. It's very similar to what we see at in the ACC tournament. It's going to be here. It's played over 3 days. A lot of exciting things going on this weekend. Alumni weekend. We have a senior day, and then we've got 2 ESPN games on top of that. So it's a big weekend. So we can't focus on we can't let the outside distractions. We got to stay within ourselves, work hard, and get a few wins this weekend.
That's all we have for you on this edition of Tech Total Access. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Don't forget to tune in next week for more hard-hitting sports action. And as always,
Go Hokies!